All right, we're going to get started. I'm Marissa Doria. I'm the athletic director, the athletic director here at Sweet Home. Um, Thanks for joining me tonight on this Zoom. We're looking forward to starting our fall sports on Monday, the 23rd at our high school, and then starting our modified football a few days later, and then all rest of our modified sports on the 30th of August. Just as a note, I am recording this meeting just for some folks who aren't able to be here tonight. That way it would be available on the website for them to view after tonight. And certainly the presentation that we'll be using will be available. Those will both be posted tomorrow. So if you want to go back and reference this, you're welcome to do so. So my goal tonight is to take you through a little bit of an overview of our fall sports program, some unique things to playing sports in COVID that we have to talk about, and then just our general athletic policies from our athletic handbook. For those of you who are new to our program, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. The past couple years have had a lot of changes in athletics, so we will always do our best to keep you up to date with any future changes that might occur. It's tough, being in athletics at this time. We're always very structured, scheduled folks. We like to go by our game schedule, practice types, those types of things. But COVID has certainly taught us all how to be more flexible and adapt. So as things may change throughout the year, you'll certainly get more information from me and your coaches throughout the season. If you ever need anything, please feel free to reach out to our office here by phone, send me an email, and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. We have a great support staff here, an athletic secretary, Lorraine Baudette. She's also happy to help you out by phone or email as well if you have any questions, and as well as your coaches. So, as we move into this fall season, we're all part of the Sweet Home community together. We're all Panthers. I'm so proud to be here and work for this district. Our kids are the best. Our coaches are awesome. There really is nothing better than seeing our kids out there competing in what they love to really do, which is their sports. This past year really brought to life, how important athletics are to our kids. And I'm so thankful to be here. I'm not lying when I say we have some of the best coaches in the area, best kids in the area, best families. And it's a real privilege to work here. I'm really looking forward to this upcoming season here. So we're just going to start with a little intro, some details about our program, some goals for our athletes, how we support those athletes, and then we'll go from there. So for our fall season, last year was a little crazy. We had this season called Fall 2, where we moved some things into that season. We're back to our traditional sports seasons here, and we are offering all of our sports that we normally offer at Sweet Home, which is exciting for us. So we have boys and girls soccer, girls swim, girls tennis, boys and girls volleyball, football, gymnastics, cheer, field hockey, and as well as boys and girls cross country at the high school level. And those will all get started next week. We do also have golf that will get started a little bit later on the 30th. All of our sport tryout dates can be found on our athletic website right here. At the end of the PowerPoint, there will be a link to this, but if you type in on Google Sweet Home Central Schools, you can go right to our district website, click on departments here in athletics, and that'll take you everything you need to know about our department. Our modified sports, football is going to begin on the 26th, and all other modified sports would start after that date. So we do not offer certain sports at the modified level, like gymnastics or cheer or golf. If you're interested in those things, we can provide you with some additional information by contacting those coaches directly, but those students would have to pass the APP test in order to qualify to participate at the high school level. If you're interested in modified swimming, that's actually a winter sport, so you'd receive information on that later in the school year. So kind of looking ahead and talking about some overviews. Last year, there was a lot of changes because students were in the hybrid model. We were modified practice times and different after-school environments. This year, we'll be returning our students to in-person learning, and we'll be returning more similar to what athletics looked like in the beginning of the 2019-20 school year in terms of after school. So at the high school, our day will end at 2:06, and we're asking students to, if you're not practicing right after school, you'll wait in the cafeteria, start working on your homework, those types of things. We have monitor available. There will be teachers in there as well available to help with homework. Um, and once your sport begins that day, you can head out to the locker room, get changed, and then go out to your sport for that night. If your event doesn't start before 4:15 or so on any given school day, we're asking students to go home and then return to campus later in the evening for their event. If you had like a, let's say, a 7 o'clock soccer game that night. When you're on campus, you need to make sure you're, doing what you need to be doing. And when your event's over, you're going to be asked to leave campus, promptly after your event. Locker rooms will be available, but just for changing rooms only. Okay, so we still are mindful that COVID is here. There's certain things that are in place to help prevent the spread of that. We'll kind of touch on those in a little bit, and I'm sure there'll be more details to come as we get closer to school. But we do have to provide our athletes, they're in school all day learning, a place to change so they can prepare for practice. So they'd be given that opportunity by team to change. And then, like I said, go out right to practice. Um, for the students who have a little bit more equipment, like our football players, you will be able to lock your equipment in your locker at night. And then for our athletes, like our field hockey athletes, if you have a bigger bag, you can actually store that in the locker room during the school day. So you'd be all set with that. So some of those procedures that last year we didn't have in place, we weren't really using locker rooms. We are using them a little bit, but it's really just for changing only. It's a quick in and out as much as we can. We need to reduce, the use of different areas that might increase our risk of a spread of COVID-19. So when we kind of talk a little bit more about that, our student athletes, they can take some steps here to help reduce the spread. Obviously, if you're not feeling well, don't be a tough guy or a tough lady and still try to come to school. You really need to stay home if you're not feeling well at all. As athletes, we want to be out there with our teammates competing. But if you don't feel good, you run the risk of potentially spreading whatever you're not feeling good with to your teammates. And we just can't do that. So if you're not feeling well this year, please stay home. Please communicate with your coach, our athletic trainer, and really make sure you're taking care of yourself. When you're coming on campus, when all possible, if you're coming up for practice on Saturday, come ready to go. Okay, we don't need to go in the building on the weekends. If we don't have to, let's make sure we're ready to go, not using the locker rooms unnecessarily. Avoid congregating, making those big groups. We really need to, take precaution wherever we can. Looking ahead down this list a little bit, try to arrive promptly, no earlier than 15 minutes for your scheduled event. Maintain good hygiene, wash your hands, clean your equipment, make sure you're washing your equipment if at all possible, and bring your own water bottle. We will have water stations available where you can fill your water bottle, but we're asking our students to bring their own water bottle to fill. Now, last year, NISFA, New York State Athletic Association, came in and gave us some guidelines to follow in terms of athletics. Those guidelines have expired and they will not be providing new guidelines. So last year we were asked to, wipe down equipment, maybe at volleyball games, wipe off balls in between sets and things like this. That's not a requirement this year. That's not to say this could change. They could put guidance out at certain points later in the season, what have you. The same thing with Erie County. If you were an athlete last spring or winter, you might be familiar with a case of COVID on the team and the team was put on a pause. As of right now, that guidance has not been provided to us. If there are any updates on that, I will certainly keep you and your coaches in the loop. Looking ahead to Monday, we've gone kind of all over the place with masking, and we're all just trying to be as most prepared as we can to keep our season successful. So we really need to view this as a way to keep our sports going and be as safe as we can. When we're outside, we don't need to be wearing masks. Starting Monday, when you are in the building, we're asking students to wear masks in their common areas. So when you come in the door, you're using the bathroom, the locker room, those types of things. But when you'll need to be wearing a mask. When you're participating in your sport, so you're at your volleyball practice, you do not need to wear a mask. They're not required. If you choose to do that, that is your choice. Obviously we know that when you're participating in sports, you're breathing heavy. It can be very warm in the gym, obviously at the end of summer as well. We understand all of those things. But we are asking students to take the necessary precautions when possible. So when you are moving around the campus inside, we're asking you to wear a mask. When you're on school transportation, so you're taking the bus, you will be asked to wear masks on there as well. And our coaches are going to utilize a seating chart to make sure we know where folks are sitting in case of the need to contact trace. Last year, we had some forms on the website and your coaches had access to them as well. If you'd like to drive your own student to a game, practice, whatever, students do not need to have or need to take school transportation, just as long as you provide documentation of that to your coach beforehand. And that's something you can work out with your coach. When we get to the end of the presentation, there'll be time for questions if you guys have any of those. Since I'm on here by myself, I'll turn on the chat and ask for any questions at the end. That way I'm not kind of focusing on two different things at once. So just to kind of wrap up on some COVID protocols here, at this time, there aren't a whole lot of information. We're waiting further guidance from our new governor, Erie County, and certainly I anticipate as we get closer to school, some of those pieces will come out, and we'll certainly communicate that to you and our coaches and the athletes. Our main goal here is to provide the students a safe, fun experience in school and with their sport. I'm a fierce advocate for our kids, and we'll make sure we're doing everything we can to keep them going in their sports and have a successful season. So looking ahead to our season, I'm excited to welcome back our modified sports this fall. That was a tough thing for us last year, but we're bouncing back. We're bringing our fall sports modified program back. So kind of looking at our program top to bottom, the varsity level, that's going to be our highest, most competitive level. And the goal of those teams is to be as competitive as possible. So you're not going to see equal playing time. The coaches have to put the best players on the field and put our team in the best position to be competitive as we can be. The JV level, it's intended to really build those players up into future productive varsity players. You'll see some playing time that's shared among players, but again, not always going to be equal, but really focusing on skill, trying to build those students up and learn different strategies so they are successful in the future of our programs. And the modified level, that's really like the base of our triangle here. Those are for our students to really, in 7th and 8th grade, build foundational skills, learn team rules, get an experience on a team, and really find, their passion for their sport and really build the foundation for them moving forward in our athletic program. So some of our goals for student athletes, obviously we want them to get better in their sport, but we want them to be better people. We want them to have a great sense of sportsmanship. Athletics, gives you such an opportunity to grow as a human being and learn what you're capable of, learn how to be a leader, have self-discipline, show good citizenship. And I see it out of our kids every day and on the field and the court and pool, wherever we might be. And our coaches really try to build those characteristics in our athletes. Being an athlete here at Sweet Home is certainly a privilege. And I expect our athletes to just really carry themselves in a way that we're all proud of, because they are representing our program, and we certainly provide supports for our kids to not only be successful on the fields, but in the classrooms too. The coaches have access to kind of check on students' grades, help them connect with teachers. If I can be of any help with tutoring, anything like that, please don't hesitate to ask. We're all here to help the students succeed as a whole, not just in the athletic realm as well. And then hopefully they're learning some healthy aspects about how to take care of themselves and promote that healthy lifestyle. So once you're an athlete here, how do you become that student athlete? So first, the foremost thing, you got to be cleared through our health office. So what that means is you have to have a physical completed within the last 12 months. If you have any questions, is my physical good? You can always call our nurse or athletic trainer tomorrow, and we can easily pull that up on the computer for you. Coaches also have access to any kid who's signed up, so they could see and let you know. So if you want to contact your coach, they could also help you out with that as well. So first and foremost, we get that clearance from the health office. And then next thing you got to do, you got to show up. You got to try out. You got to put your best foot forward. And those tryouts will begin next week for our varsity and JV teams. That next piece is, so now you make the team. You're doing what you need to do. You got to keep your grades up. And we'll talk a little bit more about the academic eligibility piece in a little bit. But I was very, very proud of our athletes last year because they had, we had very few students who were ineligible because of academics. Our kids worked super hard to make sure they were passing, and staying eligible and doing what they need to do in the classroom, even when it wasn't the easiest in the hybrid model. And then that last fourth point, follow your team and department rules. You got to be a good role model for, all students, not just your teammates. So these are some a little bit more detail. We have an attendance requirement, credit requirement, a grade requirement, and then we have our athletic handbook. This will kind of take us through the key points of the athletic handbook. The full athletic handbook's on the website. You're encouraged to take a look at that and understand what's expected of our athletes. But in your sign-off packet, there's like a quick guide that takes you through the key points of that handbook that you initial when you turn into your coaches. Make sure you read that and really understand what's expected of you. But we will go over those key points right now. So attendance, students have to be present for 50% of the school day in order to be eligible for after-school activities. So you got to make sure you're here in school for at least half the day to be able to go to your sport that afternoon. If you ever have a concerns, maybe you have to go to a funeral, something like that, you have a question, please call the office and we're happy to work through that with you. The next piece is our credit requirement. So I like to put this up here just so even if you're a freshman, obviously you don't have any credits yet, but so you understand that it is important that you're passing your classes during your season to get through those eligibility checks, but it's really important to get your credit by passing the course so you can maintain the eligibility through the season or through your career here, excuse me. So these are the, requirements by grade level. If there was a credit issue, you'd hear from me or your guidance counselor in terms of what you need to do to make sure you're eligible with your credits. But that's something you just got to focus on your 4-year career, make sure you're earning your credits appropriately throughout the years here to make sure you're staying eligible. So the grade requirement. So about every 5 and 10 weeks, we take a look at our student athletes' grades. And if a student was failing 2 or more classes at what we call the final check for eligibility right here, that student would be ineligible for contests at that point. Now, we try not to get to that point with our kids. So we have this pre-checkpoint, which is around the 5-week checkpoint at the beginning of the school year there, right at October 4th. Now, what we do then is we look at all the athletes' grades. And if you're failing 2 or more at that time, you're still eligible for contests and games, but we're going to ask you to attend our study table, which will be our after-school help program in the cafeteria. And we have teachers there, tutors there available to help you get back on track before it's too late. So our goal here is really, really to get to our athletes before it's too late. So we want to make sure that we're trying to help out our kids and get there before, it's to a point where it's just unmanageable or they have to sit out. If at any point before these checks, students are struggling, please feel free to reach out and we're happy to help you. We'll have various support systems in place at the high school. And, our teachers are great here and they'll be willing to work with you and help you get back on track. So I mentioned earlier, that this was that quick reference guide. This is part of your packet. So there's a document that's actually, you can fill it out electronically that contains all the paperwork that you need to be eligible to try out for your sports. So we talked about that physical, but there's several other sheets of forms and things that we need you to complete. So I'm going to show you right now on our athletic website where you go. So we come to, this is the district website here. Let's load it up here real quick. So if you just come to the sweethomesschools.org website, we go to departments and we see athletics. We click on that. We have different information over here. We have the fall sports dates. We also have our Twitter, please follow us if you're on Twitter, stay up to date with our latest, scores, things like that. We have some information about our history here, our Hall of Fame, how we do some live streaming. And over here, if you press on Arbiter Live, that'll get you to schedules. You can check out any of our team schedules, find out where the game is, what your team schedule is looking like for the rest of the season. Right now, the schedules you see will be fairly accurate to what they should be for the remainder of the season. There might be a few tweaks here and there, but we're getting it together and it's looking pretty good. This is Lorraine Brodette, our athletic secretary. If you need anything, you could shoot her an email. Here's my email. And then Marcy Gerlach is our athletic trainer, and she can certainly help you out if you have any issues with injuries or any concerns medically. She can definitely help you out and point you in the right direction. So if we're talking about those forms, we go to student athlete forms. We press that here. And this should be loading up. Let's see what we got. And then you're going to click on this athletic participation form, and it'll open about an 8-page document up. You can complete it electronically and email it right to your coach. And then you're all set, ready to roll for Monday, as long as you have that physical in. Earlier, we talked about maybe providing your own transportation to away events. There's a template for you. You don't have to use that. You can use any format you'd like, but if you want to use that template, it's up there for you as well. If we have any students on the call who might be transfers, welcome. Welcome to Sweet Home. We do have to have you fill out a transfer form if you've not already done so. If you're unsure of if you have to do that or not, feel free to call the office and we'll be happy to help you out with that. So kind of finishing up here, there's different role players in our athletic department. Certainly I'm part of that. Our coaches are part of that. Our students are part of that. Our parents, our fans, we're all in this together. So it's important, I think, to just kind of go over what's everybody's role. And, parents, guardians, fans, they do play a huge role in athletics. I know it meant the world to me to, look up in the stands, see my grandma, mom, dad, whoever, supporting me, friends. And it makes the experience just that much fuller. So we're asking, our parents, guardians, fans to really be positive energy at our events, really be a good role model through positive actions, be a full team fan, just not a fan of your kid. And also just make sure we're showing respect for opposing players and coaches. I've been super proud of our fan base over the past year. It was nice to get fans back in towards the end of the school year and see parents. I haven't got to see a ton of them over the past year, but I appreciate, all the efforts families put into getting kids rides to games and supporting them in our athletic program. And I certainly look forward to meeting you at some games in this season. As of right now, there are no limitations on fans. I know last year there was a portion of time where we could only have 2 fans per player. That's not the case right now. If that does change, I'll certainly be in communication with you before our first games kick off in about a week and a half from now. And then kind of going back to the masking, if you're outside, we're not asking anyone to wear masks outside. I know that was something that was going on in the last fall season we did have here back in fall of 2020. So just remember, if you're at the event, let our kids do their thing on the field, let our coaches do their thing. The officials, I really, officials, there's major shortage right now. So we're very lucky to have officials who want us, who want to cover our games and give our kids the opportunity to play. So it's important we treat those officials with respect and just be positive and proud of, our Panthers here. And I know that we have a strong fan base here that everybody's super excited to see our kids back in action this fall. If we're looking about the communication chain in our athletic department, we ask our players, be a self-advocate. If you have something, you talk to your coach first. Same thing with our parents. If you have a concern, something like that, speak with the coach. And then, if you still feel like you have some things you want to work out, please feel free to call, make an appointment here at the office, and we can talk and try to come to some resolution. Some key things to keep in mind, allow for that cooling off period 24 hours after a game. I know when I coached, sometimes the game didn't go the way I wanted. I might not have had the most level head at that moment. Take that 24 hours, calm down, give yourself a moment to reflect and kind of take it all in. When you're having that discussion with a coach, make sure you're keeping it focused on your athlete and as positive as possible. Try not to involve, discussion about other students. And then, the goal of a conversation for me is always to find a resolution. So we're partners in a conversation, let's work through it together and try our best to come out the other side with a resolution that we're both happy with. So the role of our coaches here is obviously to, teach those sports skills, build their character up, be a positive role model. And we certainly saw last year that our coaches were really to go the extra mile for our student athletes, whatever we needed to do, whether it was wear masks or change games or whatever. our coaches did it, and they would do it all over again in a heartbeat for our kids. They really have the best interest of our athletes in their heart. You know, they're a model of integrity and judgment in terms of respect for the game and officials and opponents. And they're just trying to always seek out those professional development opportunities and improve themselves as coaches, as well. So some things you can expect from your coach: clear communication about schedules. You know, you might receive messages from me that impact the whole department, but you more than likely hear from your coach in terms of game changes, practice schedule changes, those types of things. You know, holding our athletes to a high standard both in sport and in character, and remaining fair and consistent, and always putting that team first when making decisions. You know, my role as athletic director, you know, I'm kind of behind the scenes, making sure everything is working, making sure our coaches have what they need to do to be successful, our kids have what they need to do to be successful, and parents, you have the information that you need, to make it all kind of come together. So, you know, I'm overseeing all the programs. You'll see me at a lot of events. You know, once Monday hits, I'm here quite a bit. And, you know, if you feel free to come up and talk to me, introduce yourself when you do see me on campus. But I'm really trying to build this program into something that enriches our kids as a whole, and that they can certainly, you know, walk out of here with, you know, just a little bit higher character and learn a little bit more about themselves in a positive way as they come through our sports program, and certainly be consistent supporter of all of our kids and our coaches. So just a reminder, some of that paperwork we did talk about, I pointed out where you can find it on the website and the email that I sent out with the link to this meeting. There was also the attachment of the paperwork. So if you want to go back in there, it's attached there. And like I mentioned before, you could either print it out and turn it in at tryouts, or you could fill it out electronically and email it to your coach ahead of time. So kind of wrapping up, I did show the new website. It is a little bit different. So if you had bookmarked a website last year, we did just recently update our website. So you'd have to redo that and find the new website. But like I said, just type into Google there, you know, Sweet Home Central Schools, and it'll pop right up. And we do have our tryout information right here. This contains all the start times for all of our sports, and some coaches have provided a little bit extra information, and you can click on these links here to get the coach's letter about that. I would like to point out for our gymnastics folks, the time, we did get that in a little late, but it's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's going to be at Stumps. We will be doing our gymnastics right out of the Stumps Gymnastics Center this year. We will not be practicing on campus for gymnastics. Kind of going through here, we have all the sports listed. But if you have any questions about, you know, maybe you're new to the district and you're not sure where the turf field is, just give us a call. We're happy to help you out. Our cheer team, I'll just make a note, does practice at Heritage Heights. So that's one of the elementary schools in the district. And then our golf team's right over at Brighton. So nothing's too far away. Everything's pretty close to home here. But, you know, as I just kind of wrap up, I just like to say, you know, I'm here for you guys. I'm very thankful that my job is all the time is spent watching the kids, you know, doing what they really want to do, you know, and it's a real pleasure. And I'm really looking forward to this upcoming season. This time I will put a chat on in case you guys have any questions, and I will try my best to see if I can, if anyone wants to unmute and ask a question, I believe you'd be welcome to do that as well. So give me 1 second here with the chat. Okay. Okay, so I think that if you had a question and if you want to put it in the chat, I can answer it that way. Or if you wanted to unmute yourself, you should be able to do that at this point. I see somebody said we can't unmute, but I think I got it now. I hear somebody, so I think we're working in that world.
Yeah, I was able to unmute.
Okay, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, this is Leon. I have a few questions. The first one is, it's related to those forms that sign-up forms that came out earlier in the year. I think there were a couple emails I saw with the sign-up forms, which I did sign up both of my, I'm wondering what was the purpose of those sign up forms?
So the ones where you had indicated what sport they were interested in.
Correct.
So what we do from that point is we enter your student into Power School and actually like put them on that team. And that way we can check their physical date and make sure it's valid. And once we get rosters and things like that, that's how we use that feature to be able to check on kids and share that information with coaches, pull lists together of who signed up for what sport.
Right, so there were no communications sent out based on those sign up forms to the students as to the dates or any other type of information regarding the sign up itself?
So the actual signups have been available for kids since June. Um, so they were able to sign up at the end of the school year and they've been open all summer. And then throughout the summer, I've sent that out a few times periodically for any other folks who might have missed it. But in case you didn't sign up, we're still able to sign a student up at this point. No problem. Just, send me an email with the grade and name of the student and what sport they'd be interested in, and we can get them all set up.
Right. So as it relates to my kids, my son is at the high school, has been at the high school. My daughter is entering the high school now. We did sign up. And again, I guess my question is, were those sign up forms didn't really mean much if they were placed on a team and they still have to try out, for example, if they were placed on a team for whatever reason and no communication were sent out based on the sign up, because I don't believe my kids received any information from anyone regarding any of the sports they were signed up for.
So the sign up is really just for us to get them on our end in our system for that sport. And then
Okay.
the tryouts are posted on the website, for people to view publicly. And
Okay.
the coaches may use that sign up list to communicate things ahead of time, but that would really be up to them.
Okay. And as far as the trial days goes, are those you could choose any one of those dates, pick a sport, any sport. You could use any one of the tryout dates to try out, or do you have to, if it's 2 days or 4 days, do
Yeah, I
the
would
whole?
encourage you to attend as many tryout dates as possible. Now, some sports are more competitive than other sports with it in terms of numbers of kids who try out for the team. So I see there is a question that's kind of related about, do you need to try out for modified football for that specific sport? Right now, there's a lot of students trying out. So there could potentially be cuts in that sport. But if we look at a different sport, like let's say, um, girls cheerleading or girls swimming. Right now, based on our numbers, I don't believe we'd have to make cuts in those sports. So it's in the benefit of the student to attend as many tryouts as they can. If you had a situation come up where, let's say your family was going on vacation or something like that, you weren't able to attend them, just let me know and I can work with you and the coach to kind of navigate that.
Okay, so even for, I guess, so even for the modified sports, you want to show up to the
Correct.
tryouts.
Correct. Now, I know some of the sports, some mod sports are not starting till school, but some start a little bit earlier and coaches can be flexible, if you're not able to get, I know folks have jobs and things like that. Sometimes it's tough in the summer to get around. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions I can help you out with?
Hello.
Hi, what can I do for you?
Yeah, I have a question about the schedule for the tryouts because I see that most of them are in the morning. So is there like, because it's going to be really hard for me to make it. I can make some days. I work 12-hour shifts. So like, is there any way that we can work around those hours, like the morning hours?
I'm not sure which sport your student's interested in, but why don't you
Modified
modify?
football.
Okay, why don't you give the office a call tomorrow and we can kind of talk a little bit more about your specific situation, and I can put you
Okay.
right in touch with the coach and you guys can kind of talk about that. I know that everyone's got their own lives and things we have to get done, and we try to be as accommodating as we can.
Okay, so I just call the office and ask to talk to the coach.
You could just talk right to me. You could just ask to talk to Marissa and we'll connect
Okay.
tomorrow at any point, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can you also be working on completing the participation forms packet while you're trying out? What do we need to get done before Monday?
So we really want you to have that packet ready for Monday. Okay, and we do have some hard copies here, and we can give some hard copies to our coaches too, if you want to fill it out right when you drop your athlete off. You're welcome to do that, and we got to make sure that physical is on file that has been completed within the past 12 months.
Yeah, so if I have an student that completed those packet in the last few months, is that one still valid, or you need a new one?
No, unfortunately, we do have to do a new one for each season.
Okay.
Okay.
But I believe you said earlier, forgive me if I'm wrong, that you could validate the physical?
Yes, if you want us to check on a physical, we can do that on file here. You could just call the nurse or myself tomorrow and we can write your student up and see if the one we have on file is valid or not.
Okay, and what number would we be able to reach the nurse at?
If you want to call our office, we'll send you down to her. It's 250-1208, and that's the athletic office. We can help you get in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Anyone else I can help with?
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment in regards to the last year's events for working out a way for the electronic viewing system to be able to accessible to all the families, and to say that we really do appreciate it and all your effort. I know that that was not easy, and I know that there was a fee for it. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as a parent, I do appreciate that service. And I just wanted to say thank you.
You're very welcome. And we're looking forward to doing that again for you this year. Certainly there's always bumps on the road, but if you guys have concerns that come up and, we can address those and do better as a department, I'm happy to do that. And, I know that the live streaming, it meant a lot for some folks who maybe couldn't come in person and be able to see, nephew, grandson, neighbor in their game. So, if that keeps our community connected, I'm happy that we can provide you guys with that. All right, I think I have one more question coming in the chat here. For modified, it looks like. I think the question is, MS is referring to middle school. So if we see the MS on here, that's our middle school. At HS is high school. And I think she might be asking about cross country. So we'll just wait 1 second here. Modified football field is located at the middle school behind the tennis courts. So the question about the cross country, the first couple practices here, 8:30 to 9:02. Those are going to be the early ones from 9 to 10:30. And then once we start school until the end of the season, they'll be practicing after school from 3:50, which is right after school at the middle school, to the 5:15. Sorry about that. I know that looks a little confusing on there. So this is just the before school this week here. And then this is once we get into school. All right, folks, it was nice chatting with you all. The few folks I got to hear tonight, it was nice to hear your voices, and everybody else out there, I appreciate you tuning in. Like I said earlier, I'm super pumped for Monday, and I'm really excited to see our kids back here doing what they love and to be a part of it with them. So I look forward to meeting you guys during the season, and best of luck this weekend. We'll see y'all Monday. Have a great night, guys. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye.